Hey guys, happy Earth Day. Nature. Ain't it neat? Hey, sorry I had to, but we are going to talk about nature today because this is Earth Day and I want to focus our discussion around that and the many health benefits of nature in all areas of our lives. We're going to break it down and look at several different components. And I want you guys to chime in. I want your feedback because I know a lot of you out there are very connected to nature. You love being outside, and nature serves a very important role in your health and happiness. And I want to hear about that as well. Okay, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my own personal story and a lot of the roles that nature serves in my life and has served throughout my life. And then we're going to kind of break it down and really look at how can we use those natural resources that we have available to provide the optimal health and happiness in our lives, maybe as opposed to more material approach. Okay, so with it being Earth Day, which I honestly wasn't even aware of until the last few hours, I was outside most of the afternoon because rain is moving in, and I wanted to spend the last few hours out in the optimal temps and weather exploring before we have several days of rain. And had a great time out doing that, and so I got back here and I realized, hey, it's Earth Day, and we haven't had a discussion here in a while, so I want to really talk about nature and give it its spotlight here. For myself, I was thinking about the different roles that nature serves, and I think nature, it evokes curiosity, discovery, laughter, joy, calmness, adrenaline. It's all across the board. Okay, it's a full spectrum of emotions, of chemical and physiological responses it provides. A lot of people right now are hunting, and I know that that's a really important part of many people's lives, that it's sort of a rite of passage. It's an annual tradition, and that has a lot of value to people, and that's obviously provided by nature. And so, for myself, I want to kind of take a walk down memory lane, and as a kid, I was thinking a couple of the major roles that nature served in my life were that I spent a lot of time fishing. I was never a hunter. I've never been a hunter, but I fished almost every day as a kid. I mean, I remember some of my fondest memories with my dad until he became ill, until when I was around maybe 8 years old. That time when I was 5, 6, 7, 8, going fishing almost every day with my Snoopy fishing pole and being absolutely thrilled with catching a little bluegill, a perch, and sunfish, and I just thought that was the greatest thing ever. And so nature provided me some of those early childhood memories, and probably honestly the fondest memories and connection that I had to my dad when he was still in good health. And then that transitioned even on into my teen years as we moved into mobile home park that was on a lake. And as someone who maybe we didn't have a lot of financial means, so I had to find ways to entertain myself, and fishing was a huge part of that. And I would set bank lines, I would get creative with it. This was also a big part of free play for me to explore creative ways to be able to fish and to set bank lines, and I would go out in the paddle boat with a neighbor lady. And so fishing has always been a huge part of my life, or especially as a kid, something I still love to do but don't do as often. And then also when I was younger, gardening was really important to me, and I had the opportunity to have a garden up until I was about 12 or 13, until some circumstances changed. But that was really important for me on several levels, and I think that anytime a young person can have the opportunity to have a garden, it teaches you work ethic, but it also gives you opportunity to learn about different plants, to demonstrate patience and watching things grow. And then you also have that great reward and that experience of knowing that you created something, that you were responsible for the harvest, and going through that whole thing. So those are two really key parts of my childhood, and they involved fishing and gardening, which are both obviously part of nature. And those were really important, really critical as far as molding who I have become. And as an adult, the roles that nature has served are a lot different, but they're no less important or vital in my life. And I was thinking, I kind of went through here and broke it down. But right now, when I moved to my new place, one of the first things I did was buy a lot of plants, and me being by myself and liking to be independent, I still wanted some life around me and some color, and just having plants in the home, as a form of nature provides so much value. It brings in that aspect of life and living around me. It adds that pop and color. It's something that helps me stay grounded and, gives me a responsibility to help keep them thriving through taking care of them. But also then the plants serve a role of air purification, and they're cleaning up my environment. So not only are they helping my mental health by sort of being that living thing in my space, but also helping me physically by detoxifying the air. So just having the plants in my home, that's one way that nature serves me. Nature as a help for physical health, when I think about that personally, I love being outside working out. And I really enjoy working out, doing my workouts outdoors more than indoors or in a gym. And we've had the opportunity to do that recently. As the gym being closed, we've been doing the HIIT workouts from home. And I've loved doing that. And I've tried to do most of them on the patio so I can get some sunlight. To me, that 45-minute workout, if I would do that on the patio as opposed to in the living room or inside, then that's an additional benefit. To me, that's 45 extra minutes that I'm going to get outdoors that day, regardless of what else I do. I know I'm guaranteed. I love that additional component that's added to my workouts. And many of you that know me are aware that I've been an outdoors person as far as distance running for years, for the past decade or plus. I'm outside a lot, running and hitting the pavement, and also on the trails. And the trail and hiking and trail running has been something that's come later in the game for me, and I certainly enjoy that more than just running out on the streets or sidewalks. And incorporating that into my life has been really important. And I've transitioned quite a bit too, and I notice now I am not so much about just running for cardio when I'm outside, but I'm doing a lot better job of being more mindful, slowing down, and incorporating hikes, and just trying to ground myself with nature with that. But I love the ability to be able to work out outside as well. And another thing too is nature has helped me improve my endurance. So when I think about all the opportunities I've had to travel and to conquer these different physical feats, most of the greatest physical accomplishments I've had involve nature. When we look at hiking across the Grand Canyon and that ascent out, those switchbacks and that brutal climbing, and those are natural stairs that are formed in the nature, and they've been trodden down by animals, by those mules. And so that was a real challenge. And then climbing in the Rockies or hiking through the riverbed in Zion. There's so many different things that have challenged me. Climbing up waterfalls. I've talked about scars before and how scars tell a story. And I have multiple scars from different feats in nature, and I wouldn't take those experiences back. But nature really challenges us, and it pushes us past our threshold, and it really helps us improve our endurance and boost our confidence, and that kind of moves into the next area I'm going to talk about. But for me, it's definitely helped me elevate my endurance and stamina by getting out there and trying to conquer the forces of nature, all right? And at the same time, developing an incredible respect for nature, because too many people don't have that. I watch people flirt with danger too much, or they don't understand the true power of nature. And we have to understand we coexist. We have to honor nature's space and its limit and our limitations in it as well, and respect that, because it can take our lives from us as well. Another one physically from nature is immunity. I think just frequently getting outside and being willing to get our hands dirty and to immerse ourselves in nature will help build our immune systems. And so many of us now spend too much time indoors, especially, I talk about this a lot, being on screens and devices, and we're not getting the natural sunlight, we're not getting that immersion in nature. So when we are exposed to those external forces, we become ill so much more often, and our immune systems are compromised because of the lack of contact with outdoors, and we're not being grounded with nature. We used to have that. That did not used to be concern, because we didn't have all of these elements that keep us indoors now, right? So let's look at nature as it serves our mental health. And the first thought I have is sunlight. One of the first things I do every day within that first half hour I'm up is walk outside on the patio and take in the sunlight. And if it's not out, I just look around and I take in whatever nature has to offer. I close my eyes, take some deep breaths, listen to the sounds of the birds or whatever I can hear. And I try to go ahead and connect with nature in that first half hour. Number one, it calms me down and it reminds me of, that all this existence in a really busy world. That's helpful. But it also helps keep my circadian rhythm in check, because it tells my body, hey, it's daylight, time to wake up, to start that cycle. And then at the end of the day, I walk back out, look up at the stars, again, remind my body and my mind or brain that it's nighttime, it's time to wind down and go to bed, all right? Instead of having my body to guess, because I'm constantly on a device, I give it that opportunity first thing in the morning, last thing at night. And to me, there's something super calming about that early morning sunlight hitting my face, and at the close of the night walking out with my hot bone broth or herbal tea or whatever, and looking up at the stars and thanking God for all of that creation that is right here at our disposal, which is amazing. So sunlight, and for mental health especially, it's so great for fighting depression and mood enhancement, getting out and just absorbing some natural vitamin from the sunlight. And then, the power of grounding with nature is another one, and I haven't realized that until more recently. I didn't quite understand, but the thing is, you have to slow down and intentionally connect with nature. If I go out and I just run, there's so much I miss. If I run with headphones on, I miss so many opportunities to notice the details around me. And I think that we have to slow down and we have to give ourselves an opportunity to engage our senses. And nature does that. Like if we go out into the woods and just stop, and you can either look around or you can close your eyes and you can just listen to all of the sounds of nature and smell in the smells, take some deep breaths, or look around, open your eyes, look at all the details, look at the textures, look at the distinction of the bark on the trees, look at any types of wildlife you can spot, the colors in nature. Another one, as I've mentioned in the past, are the fractals, the different designs of the leaves, many details that distinguish nature from one another. And being able to do that will really help you connect and will boost your mental health, because it's going to take your mind away from the busyness of our traditional world, where there's so much going on. And right now it's slowed down, yes, but ideally or typically there's so much coming at us that it's overstimulating, and we need an opportunity to slow down and reconnect. And nature provides us that chance, but we have to give it its chance to do that, right? We have to create space for it. So for me to go out, like what I love this routine now I have, where I can go to the park and park in the parking lot and run to the woods, then slow down and take a mindful hike, and then run back to the car when I'm done. So I don't feel like I've given up the opportunity to get in an intense cardio workout. I still have that, but I'm also not compromising the chance to connect deeply with nature, be mindful. I'm working out both physical health and mental health in a package deal, right, in one stop. And that for me is awesome. Another thing is, I wanted to give some examples as far as how nature can be therapeutic. Right now, nature is my office. It's been my office for the past 5 or 6 weeks. Working from home too and doing telehealth, but I've been offering walk and talk parks or visits at the park, And those have been working out great. For some clients, they have had some major breakthroughs because they feel so much more comfortable going for a walk side by side and talking and being immersed in nature that they open up. It's such a lot more comfortable environment. And so they've been able to really reach some new levels in how vulnerable they are and the progress they're making in their mental health, which is amazing. And we could work for 6 months in the clinic and never get there because you're sitting in an enclosed space that can be very impersonal, and you're looking across face to face to someone, and that can be uncomfortable for a lot of people. So nature provides a sense of comfort and openness for people. And so like fishing, for example, is very therapeutic in my opinion, in my experience. And for example, like I have a client who decided to bring his fishing pole and toss some lines during our session. And as we stood there and we're interacting, I use that as an opportunity to make a connection through fishing and through a situation that we have been long trying to discuss, and he just hadn't been open to. When I was able to make a connection through fishing, and it was in a very relaxed setting, he opened right up, and I was amazed. I was like, wow, we've been working towards this for 8 months, and here we are. All it took was a change of setting to bring us into nature in a very unintimidating, calm state, and here we are. Like, we got to this point. And so it was amazing how nature opens these doors for people to explore their mental health and have these breakthroughs. Just in general, walking, like I said, being able to go like side by side makes a really big difference as well, because you're not face to face. Or another client, we sat on the dock and talked, and I could tell how relaxed that person was, sitting in the sunlight on the dock there at the water, talking a little bit about nature, but also being able to open up and talk about emotional and mental health because nature provided that calm setting. So that was huge, and I love that fact. There's so many elements. I have a lot of notes right here because there's so many areas that I could think of that nature provided support. And I've used nature as well to help clients practice mindfulness. I have them stop if we walk around the lake or within the park, and I'll have them stop, close our eyes, do this practice together, take a few deep breaths, listen for as many distinct sounds as we can hear, and try to feel the breeze on their face, and then notice details around them. And we talk about that, and because we don't intentionally engage our senses very much anymore. We sort of allow whatever wants to invade our sensory station to just come in and take over. But to be present and just to listen and filter the feedback, we don't do that. So that's been really helpful, using nature to teach mindfulness practice to people as well. Also, nature is an escape. So I added this one, and I can't really say. I asked some people, what's the best part about hunting? Because people right now are turkey hunting. And I know that it provides some type of emotional or mental health benefit because so many people wouldn't do it if it didn't. My understanding is that I feel like there's that adrenaline component involved with sort of the thrill of the hunt. And I do think that, obviously hunting is a primal practice for us because our ancestors, that was how many of them got their food, hunting and gathering. So it's ingrained in our nature, and I think that's an important part of it as well to consider, that it sort of goes in alignment with who we are or who we've always been. So naturally, it's going to provide a boost for mental and emotional health, and it's going to give us the physiological feedback and balance that we need. Like I said, the thrill of the search, the adrenaline we get, and then when you make that kill, the dopamine rush that you get from the successful hunt. And so that's my understanding of how hunting, which is big right now, provides an emotional health benefit as it relates to nature. If you guys have different feedback, please, I want to hear about how does hunting benefit you mentally and emotionally. I feel like it's probably an escape. A lot of people get up super early to go out. They're very committed to it. And I want to believe that provides tremendous health benefit for them. So we want to look at now nature as a teaching tool, right? So how does nature serve us as a teaching tool? And so many examples. I've been very open to this lately and trying to notice those details. I also just finished the book Free to Learn about free play. We've talked about that recently, and we're going to explore that in separate discussions. But I think this is where nature and free play come together to form this incredible opportunity, okay? And I see that when when people are taking their kids out and youth are immersed in nature, and their natural curiosity kicks in to want to learn and explore and discover new things, and they begin to ask questions. They demonstrate curiosity. They'll I had one yesterday. He was asking me questions, but he would also tell me, "Did you know this about nature?" And sometimes those kids maybe aren't always accurate. Let them be curious. Don't challenge. I mean, you can challenge them, but like, we're not there to be right or wrong. It's great. Like, let that be a segue into saying, "Oh, where did you hear that? Oh, like, what do you think about that?" Ask questions. That natural, like, nature drives that natural curiosity, and it's so amazing. So I noticed, like, this afternoon I was out and I saw some friends or neighbors that were taking their kids out for a hike, and I love that. And I watched as we went along the curiosity that emerged from those kids as they wanted to collect tadpoles and try to catch different butterflies, insects, and play in the water and search for snakes. And then it goes beyond that because they want to learn about those things. What kind of like we found this turtle. What kind of turtle is this? What kind of snake? What is this like? There was an island in the middle of the creek. We talked about that. You know, what determines what an island is. And I think we tend to miss all of those learning opportunities that nature provides. We don't, like today, they weren't missed, but we don't even notice what's happening. And a kid on an hour hike in the woods can learn more during that time than many classes in a science classroom, because they are in a setting where they're curious. It allows them to naturally be curious and discover and learn things that they're interested in. And those things are important because nature is going to be a part of our lives forever, and they need to know about those things. And I just think that is absolutely incredible, and I love seeing that free play merge together with nature provide those learning opportunities. And you know, we have now that we can take so many photos and document things in nature. I've heard stories with the kids being out of school about them going out and taking photos of plants and coming back and researching. There's an app you can use to identify plants as you're in nature. This week also, I had a client ask me about different plants, and I didn't know what kind of plants they were. So we used a search engine. We got on, we looked them up. You know, it turns out like there was a mustard plant. We talked about it. Does it smell like mustard? Why do you think it's called that? We had discussions about various things as we walked around, you know, look at the different fish. And in the midst of that, we talk about mental health, but I find that if you bring a young person in that setting, especially, they'll let their guard down a little bit. They'll let their walls down. They'll be calmer, in a better place to talk about mental and emotional health things that are in a clinic setting. It's just not as comfortable. And so nature's just allowed so many learning opportunities, and I could talk about more, but we would go on forever. And just honestly just allows for us to pursue our natural desire for exploration. And then the last component that I considered was nature as a social tool. And for me personally, nature's been a great opportunity to build upon relationships, but also to make new internet axe murderer friends on my trips when I travel, because I tend to wander into people while hiking or out in nature and connect with those people on social media, and then we become friends over the long term, and sometimes we'll later travel together and do more discoveries. I say axe murderer friends because that's an ongoing joke. There are a lot of awesome people in the woods exploring nature, and so far they've been totally safe and just helped enhance my love and appreciation for nature as well. A couple of them are watching me right now, And I appreciate that. I appreciate the friendships that we have forged. But nature is a great opportunity to travel with friends. And I know I was thinking about for myself some of my greatest feats in that, but also some of my most incredible memories have happened in nature. Being able to camp and hike, like last fall, spending 2 weeks in Oregon in the wilderness, camping and cooking by campfire and being off the grid so much of the time, as well as hiking across the Grand Canyon and really coming face to face with all of the different elements and challenges that nature had to offer. And I like to say the Grand Canyon and I have this love-hate relationship. I have a tremendous appreciation and respect for the canyon and everything that it has to offer, but I also have this deep hatred for how it's put me through so much pain and agony, and it's pushed me to the brink on multiple occasions. But by doing so, I have reached new levels and accomplished new thresholds in my life, and I've conquered a lot of fears there too. And so it's helped me to, like I said, reach new heights and improve my confidence emotionally, like knowing what I'm capable of. Nature provides those chances for me to do that. I think about some of my favorite places, and so as we wrap up the discussion, I'm going to share some images of a few of my favorite places within nature for my travels, and I want you guys to do the same. I want to hear feedback from you guys as far as like, where are your absolute favorite spots in nature that just put you in that state of mind that is pure bliss, or maybe it pushes you to the brink and challenges you, but it gets you to the next level with your mental, physical, emotional health. For me, a few of my favorites: Sky Pond in Rocky Mountain National Park, which, by the way, I'm rocking the T here. And Sky Pond, I hiked multiple years in a row. We haven't been for about 2 years. Last time I was in Estes, it was inaccessible. Well, I guess I could have accessed it with extreme efforts, but it's a long hike to the top of the Rockies and then a climb up a waterfall and ascent further to this pond at the top of the mountains. And I love going there because it's a physical challenge, but it's absolutely exhilarating. And then when you get there, there's the cold waters. And if you know me well, you know I love cold water immersion. So I finished off with getting in the water, and there's just so many different components to that experience. The satisfaction of the endorphins of getting to the top, because it is a little scary for me at times. Traversing the waterfalls a little tricky, but also pushing through, then have dopamine of the accomplishment, the rush of being in the cold water, and then coming back down, and that whole experience is just absolutely incredible. The Grand Canyon, again, can't say enough about it, but I just have so many sentimental memories from the Grand Canyon, especially with my good friend Teresa Scott, who is responsible for getting me to go hike the canyon, to talk me into doing that, building up the courage, training, going and conquering that. This has done so much for my confidence and my mental health. And being in Oregon, I did not understand how incredible Oregon was until last year. Absolutely gorgeous place, and that was tremendous for my mental health. And also, just talk about grounding with nature, being off the grid and cooking by a camp stove and sleeping out in nature and freezing your butt off every night, but loving it. Waking up and being able to laugh about how you didn't have enough layers and that you were just glad that the bear didn't come in the middle of the night, shake and rock the tent. And Laguna Beach is another one. And while that is also within the city, Laguna Beach has a lot to offer nature-wise, and that's probably one of my favorite beach spots. And there's some amazing parks there too. But I will tell you that some of my favorite places are the ones that are built around nature, or that are nature themselves. And even in New York City, like Central Park, I love the fact that within a metropolitan area, we still have the opportunity for people to go immerse themselves in nature. And that's incredible. Right there in the midst of all of those skyscrapers is that amazing park. So many incredible roles that nature plays and serves in our health. We just have to allow it the opportunity, okay? Whether it's plants within our homes, on our patios, whether it's the birds out in our backyard, all the way to deep in the woods, exploring wildlife face to face, picking it up, discovering, like I did today with turtles, and being out there with the neighbors and kids picking or trying to collect frogs and butterflies and ask questions and learning. Like there's so much to be gained from nature. And with being Earth Day, I think it was important to stop and really explore that and understand that so often we seek the material prescription for our health, whether it be physical or mental, right? We want an antidepressant, or we want the thrill from shopping therapy, or retail therapy, or so many things that are not of nature. And in reality, you can get just as much benefit from stopping and walking out into the sunlight on a trail in the woods and being mindful, going for a mindful hike, than you could from many prescription drugs, right? Not to say that those things aren't helpful, but we often think we have to go to such great lengths to address our health, and in reality, that prescription, some of the best things that we can do for our health are right here in front of us, and God has provided those resources, and we just have to take advantage of them. So I really encourage you guys to do that. I encourage you to get out, and as it's available, like we're about to have a couple days of rain. So today was a great time for me to get out this afternoon. I know I'm going to be indoors. I always tell my clients this, because I have so many clients, especially it seems that people who struggle with their mental health tend to spend less time outside, and they are indoors more, on devices, in the dark, confined in general, more often. And so we talk about those boundaries. How can we get you outside more and immerse you in sunlight and reconnect you with nature? And as much as I'm not a fan of video games, I am on my devices a lot too, okay? I love watching YouTube videos and listening to podcasts and audiobooks. I use technology as much as most people. However, so here's what I say. We have to know there's a time and place for each of these things in our lives. And I would say, well, if the weather is great and optimal for being outside, and it's sunny and the temps are optimal, then we need to try to get outside for at least a little bit and take advantage of that. Save the devices, the video games, the Netflix, or whatever your thing is that is indoors. Save that for a rainy day, right? Save that for a time where it's not conducive to be outside for whatever reason with the weather conditions. And as it may be the next few days for us here in Missouri, right? The next few days it might be optimal for those Netflix binges or being on the devices. And so that's what I tell my clients. Like, you don't have to forfeit those things altogether, but give them their time just as you give nature its time. And if it's amazing outside, don't miss the opportunity to get outside and gain the benefits that nature has to offer. And when it's cold or rainy, that is the perfect chance to use the many benefits of those devices. So we just need to understand kind of where each of these things fits into our lives and how they can serve us individually, and not villainize any of it necessarily, but understand where it fits in to our lives and can help us optimize our health and happiness. And I just want to be super grateful for the fact that we have nature every day. I pray about that. I give thanks for the fact that we have the simplest of things here, the plants that I have around me in my home as I walk out on the patio, and try to remember to water them because I'm not the best plant parent, but that gives me that responsibility, and I like that. And I love seeing the progress of the plants grow. I love watching wildlife prosper around me, and it's just incredible. Like, just take a moment to watch birds build a nest, swoop down, collect the material, go back up. And this assembly line process that they go through over and over. It's incredible. But we have to give nature an opportunity to do its work in our lives. We have to create space for it. So I encourage you guys to do that, to be mindful and allow nature to be your prescription sometimes and not always rely upon material or man-made things to get the job done for you. I appreciate you guys listening. Look over here and see a lot of correspondence from Shelby. Keith wants to hear a joke. Keith, let me talk about Keith right now. Speaking of nature, there are no sports right now, and Keith has created his own sport of bird watching. Okay, this I think originally was a joke, and it's become very serious for us. And I started slowing down and looking for birds, being more mindful. And thankfully, the parks I go to have a lot of ducks and geese. By the way, here's another mental health thing. Have you ever watched geese fly in formation, make their approach, and then land super gracefully and with like so much confidence? That to me is really incredible. Or same for ducks. I think geese are a little bit more intriguing. But something to appreciate about nature. Keith and I have been exchanging, more so me, I'm awaiting more material from him, videos and photos of various birds and wildlife. That's another thing. Find a friend who you can share pictures or videos of nature back and forth with, so you watch a little more closely. It's almost kind of a competition, but that's pretty cool. Some of you over here, opening day of turkey season was a bust for some of you. A lot of people got a turkey, so I don't know what's going on, but some of us are bird watching, some of us are bird killing. Whatever works for you. I think that both can be good for your mental health. I just encourage you to consume from beak to tail. No waste. So yes, banter in the comments about hunting. But like I said, that helps a lot of people with their health as well. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Send me a message. Let me know how nature has served your health. We'll continue to have these types of discussions because we're going to explore more as I discover personally the benefits of nature in my life. And we're going to talk more about nature when we discuss the value of free play here as I wrap up my study on that and the importance of, and like I said, I finished that book, Free to Learn, and I will post a link to that on my Foresight Wellness page. Remember, if you are not already following or like my Foresight Wellness page on Facebook, be sure to do that if you want to get the latest health information, if you want to know what I'm cooking, my workouts, if you want to know the podcasts I'm listening to, or any feedback that I can provide that will help you optimize your primarily mental health, but also physical as well. And then follow along on YouTube. I'm going to be uploading some new YouTube videos over the next few days at Derek Forsyth there, on Instagram at Derek Forsyth as well. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Keep the comments coming as well, and questions, hit me up in the DM. We'll talk again soon. Thank you guys. Have a good night.